Thank you for being here today. Thanks. It's really wonderful to see so many friends and supporters, and of course my family being here with me. Thank you so much. In the dark days that followed the horrific tragedy in this city just 1 month ago, stories of hope and light carried us through. Stories of our heroic first responders, our law enforcement, our medical care, and civilians jumped into action. They embody the bravery, determination, and strong will that make our city and our state truly great. But we should not be surprised. Nevada is a remarkable place with remarkable people. It was conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that the American dream is real. Nevada is a state where people have come for generations with the dream of a better life and go on to make that dream a reality. That was true for my great-grandfather, John Ross, who came to Nevada in the early 1900s, went on to become a lawyer, a district attorney, and eventually a federal judge. That was also true for my great-grandfather, Dominique Laxalt, who came from the Basque Country to the hills of the Sierra Nevada and went on to be a sheep herder and rancher. I was born in Reno, a fourth-generation Nevadan. My mother, Michelle, who's here today, raised me as a single mom. She lacked a college degree and struggled for years after I was born. And we didn't have much. It was just the two of us in a small one-bedroom apartment. With hard work, she persevered and went on to build an incredibly successful business. She always told me I was her inspiration, but I owe everything to her. She is my hero. I only got to know my dad, the late Senator Pete Domenici, as an adult, but I came to respect his remarkable commitment to this nation. My grandfather was my role model. He served his country in the United States Army in World War II, and then as Nevada's governor and United States Senator. Drawing on his roots in Nevada's spirits of independence and self-reliance, he pushed a particular brand of Western conservatism. He pushed to make government smaller so that individuals might do bigger things. This was late in the Cold War era, when America needed a president like Ronald Reagan, who was able to offer us a brighter vision, a vision that could truly give us a morning in America. Heroes like my grandfather and President Reagan, who stood for a freer, stronger, and more prosperous nation, are where I draw my political convictions today. I'm proud of my family history, but like many people's histories, the reality is often more complex. When I was 18 years old, the bright fluorescent lights of a hospital trauma ward pierced my eyes. I had not just been in a car accident or scored a game-winning touchdown. The alcohol-fueled fight of that night was not the first. Through the haze of alcohol, pain, and shame, I began to realize I could not continue down that path. Shortly after I went home for Christmas break, after receiving my first GPA of a 1.0, my life began to change forever. I'll never forget that day I walked into my grandfather's office to find my mother, my grandfather, and a family friend. In that moment, our family curse of alcoholism was a silver lining. My grandmother, Jacqueline Ross Laxalt, had blazed a trail to recovery in the 1970s, and she would guide my intervention. I had my doubts those first few days, until I began to hear the story of men that could be me 20 years in the future. One man told the group about his alcoholism, about the drunken car accident he had caused that killed his kids and left him with a lifetime of sorrow and guilt. I realized that committing to the treatment center that I was residing in and handing my life over to God would be the most important step I could ever take. That first step helped me go from a troubled young man with a 1.0 GPA to someone who would go on to graduate from Georgetown University with high honors. That first step was part of God's plan for me to dedicate my life to service. I signed up to serve my country while I was still in law school and was commissioned as an officer in the United States Navy. A year into my active duty service, I deployed to a war zone in Iraq. My unit assisted with the detention and prosecution of thousands of war criminals and terrorists. When I went to law school, I never thought I'd be in the same place as men who tried to bring the world to its knees. But keeping the most dangerous terrorists in the world off the battlefield shaped me as an officer and as a man. The U.S. Navy not only helped me become the man I am today, it led me to a woman I would call my wife. While teaching as a professor at the United States Naval Academy, I happened to sit down next to Jamie at a Catholic church. She was working as a civilian at the Pentagon, pursuing her own dreams of public service. A year and a half later, we were married, moved back to Nevada, and had two beautiful daughters, Sophia and Isabella. And that 4-year-old daughter, Sophia, told me as she was hearing me practice my speech, "Papa, I think you need something more." It needs more Sophia, Isabella, and more Mama. Marrying Jamie was the most important decision of my life. I've drawn strength from her every day of our marriage. Thank you, Jamie, for standing with me today and every day. Now, I was blessed with people who stood with me during my struggle and my long path to recovery. And as why I've sought to use my role as your Attorney General to protect those that most need protecting. I was absolutely disgusted by the decades-long 8,000 kit sexual assault backlog. Imagine that, 8,000 sisters, wives, mothers, sons. If anything ever happened to one of my daughters, you better believe I would never stop until justice was served. That's why I took on the backlog of untested sexual assault kits, and that's why I made it my priority to be the driving force behind making testing mandatory in Nevada so this never happens again. Now, when elder fraud spiked in Nevada, my first thought was of my 92-year-old great aunt, sitting on a couch, being taken advantage of the most despicable in our society. I created the first ever elder fraud unit to defend those like my great aunt. We did so with legal settlement funds, not taxpayer dollars. And we've seen real results. The unit yielded the most significant guardianship fraud indictment in the history of Nevada. Our men and women in the armed services make unbelievable sacrifices to defend our freedom. We owe it to them to help here at home. This is why I created the Office of Military Legal Assistance, so that the military mom in Henderson, whose home is threatened because her husband is deployed, has someone to come to her defense. The program has provided assistance to women like her and thousands of others across Nevada. I've also consistently stood for my principles. Too often today we see our leaders campaign one way, then cave on their beliefs once they're elected. I hear the disappointment in this brand of politician as I go around the state. I believe in authenticity. Your leaders should do what they say they're going to do. Voters expect us to get things done. And that's what I've done since day one as your Attorney General. I've saved taxpayers over $30 million since taking office. I fought sanctuary cities, won the first human trafficking conviction, protected our water from the EPA, defeated the sage grouse plan, and took on the Department of Labor to defend our businesses and our jobs. I will continue to stand against Yucca Mountain, prioritize consumer protection, and take on the opioid crisis with our recently announced Prescription for Addiction program. I fought for results every day on this job. Today I'm here to tell you I will continue that fight. I come before you today to tell you that I'm announcing for Governor of Nevada. Thank you. I'm running for governor so that future generations... I shouldn't have stopped that. I'm running for governor of Nevada so that future generations of Nevadans can dream and thrive in the years to come. I'm running for governor so that Sophia, Isabella, and my soon-to-be-born son can live in a new chapter of liberty, the same liberty that drew immigrants like Dominique Laxalt and hundreds of thousands of others to this great land. I'm running for governor so that Nevada's next chapter is one that is safe, prosperous, and filled with opportunity. I want a safe Nevada. As an officer in the United States Navy, I saw firsthand the threats we face. As a father, I know how critical it is that our families feel safe in our communities. As your governor, I'll be committed to keeping Nevada safe. I want a prosperous Nevada. Nevada must be the most economically competitive state in the American West. It must be a place where businesses can thrive, our families can prosper, and every Nevadan can work towards a better life. We need smart reforms that keep taxes low, limit regulations, remove obstacles to growth, attract entrepreneurs, and ensure our workforce has the skills to hold good-paying jobs. I also want better education for Nevada. In Nevada, too often we fail our children. Too many of our kids have the odds stacked against them because they're stuck in inferior schools. We must find educational solutions that create choices, not restrict them. Your address may determine where you sleep at night, but it cannot be the primary factor in determining the type of education our kids receive. We must also continue to fund public education and support prominent public education reforms, especially those aimed at achieving universal literacy. And we must continue to work with the Nevada system of higher education to develop and train our workforce for the Nevada of tomorrow. We owe it to our children to get this right. If you put your trust in me, I'll work hard every day to make Nevada's next chapter one that is safe, prosperous, and filled with opportunity. But I need your support. I need you on our team. And I hope you'll stand with me today and join me in this fight so that together we can write Nevada's next chapter, the greatest our state has ever seen. God bless you, God bless our great state, and God bless America. Thank you, everybody.